Innovation Unplugged from the Alabama Community College System's Innovation Center takes you inside Alabama's workforce development. Join us for enlightening conversations with community leaders and industry experts showcasing experiences, addressing key issues, and celebrating successes in the workforce initiatives across the state. Hey, welcome back, guys, to Innovation Unplugged. This is a production of the ACCS Innovation Center. I am Houston Blackwood. I'm the Workforce Director for the ACCS Innovation Center. Today I have with me Kailah Dozier, Director of Marketing, Community Engagement, and all things people. And today we have a very special guest from the River City, Decatur, Alabama. We have Danielle Gibson.
Hey,
How are you,
thanks for
Danielle?
having me. I'm good. Thank y'all.
Yeah, so we do a lot of marketing, and we build a brand. We've been building a brand for 3 years now, 4 years, and Kailah's the chief engineer of that design. But I also know from watching and being from the Decatur area, I've seen you build brands before. And so when we decided to have this show, I thought, well, who's going to come on the show at some point? And I always thought in the back of my head, we need to get Danielle on because of all the creative things you've done professionally. And so now is the time we could make it happen. So we're so glad you're here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So,
It has been a fun ride so far.
yeah. And you've done a lot of things. And what's cool about Danielle, if you know her, she does it very quietly. She does amazing quietly. And that's what you, Julie, and Brandy, they all do that with kind of a mission and low key, but all of a sudden it pops up and it's like, where did this come from? And how is this so amazing? So that's our story too. So why don't you give us a little background, Danielle, who you are, where you came from, and how you got to where you are now?
Well, that's exciting. So if we start all the way back, I actually started at Wolverine Credit Union, which is just a local credit union here, and I was a bookkeeper, and I think I did that for like 3 years is what it ended up being. Then I transitioned to a financial planner and insurance agent, and then I did that for
Mm-hmm.
5 years. And then I got really involved with the chamber because that was part of kind of my business plan. And then I was there for about 2.5 years, and then this position came open at the tourism office, and I've been here for a little over 6 years. But I always say I could have probably never jumped into this opportunity if I wouldn't have had the building blocks to where I am today. So starting as a very young person doing bookkeeping, that taught me a lot about financials and how all of that works. And then financial planning, I learned about balance sheets and all that fun stuff that I have to deal with now, and budgets, a fun part of our job sometimes. But it's been a really fun ride, and I've learned a lot, and I've been around so many talented people. I
Mm-hmm.
think when you surround yourself with talented people, it just opens your mind to endless opportunities. So I've had a lot of mentors along the way.
That's awesome. I think when it comes to marketing, you never really know where it's going to take you. And so you kind of alluded to the balance of not really the chaos of the job, but just truly the opportunities. And you can go in lots of different directions. So, how has being in this position, how do you balance all of those things? I know you probably have people that come up and say, hey, I have a really good idea. You should try this. And so what does that look like for you on kind of reaching your audience, but also balancing all the individual things that you're trying to hit with your mission at the tourism office?
So when I first started here, I really wanted to just kind of learn the first year, like what does our brand need to look like? What are we representing? And then it kind of started the whole like rebranding of like, what do we want this to look like? We are the River City, so we want our brand to reflect that. We wanted all of our color schemes to look the same because as you know, with branding, like people have to see it over and over and over. And then, a little bit about our organization, because I think that part's important too, is we represent Decatur and Morgan County as
Mm-hmm.
well. And we are we're a contract of the city, but we're not part of the city. We kind of work like the chambers of commerce. So we're a 501c6. So we wanted to reflect the brand of what is the city doing as far as branding and complementing what they were trying to do as well. And so then we started on a journey, and we got a lot of feedback from the community. We did a lot of walking around, talking to people like, what do you feel like is our biggest asset? And really outdoor recreation was the number one thing that stuck out in almost everybody's mind. And we wanted our brand for other people to be able to lean into that brand as well and it be well received. And so that's that's how it all started.
Yeah, I see those surveys all the time, and I'm not going to say I'm an avid outdoorsman because that sounds cheesy.
Well, I think you are. It's okay to claim that.
But I do love when I go places, and we travel a lot for work. But I always look where I'm going and say, is there a bike path? Is there a park? Is there water?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what can I possibly do to get outside? So, I think that speaks to our creation of having that need. But your design finds your flow. Like, that looks like the river, obviously.
I like that. That's awesome.
It's really cool. And that speaks to so many different levels. Kailah and I, my wife, we were at the Huntsville soccer game, Huntsville City FC. And I'm sitting there and I'm, getting ready for the game, looking at all the advertisements. And I'm like, oh, there's Decatur Tourism right over there. Find your flow right there. And I forget if it said Moco or something, but it's like, yeah, it's right there in the River City. Logos right there in the Rocket City, but that was pretty good to see. Having it out there.
That was on purpose.
Sure. Oh yeah, yeah. When I was a principal, I was on the east side of Morgan County, really closer to Huntsville than any other part of Morgan County. I asked the superintendent if I could put up billboards just north of the river, so in Huntsville City School District, and he said, absolutely not. You cannot go over there and start advertising your public school. I'm like, well, we're better than they are and a lot more fun. So I like that aggressive marketing and branding.
Well, I will say a lot of our branding, like your locals don't see, which we've gone through a lot of things in the last 6 years. So we've had to really be innovative with our marketing efforts because we went from just visitors, no locals saw, then we had to sell internally because we couldn't sell externally. And then now I think it's a good combination of both. But I think we were an early investor with the soccer club. So they reached out and said, why don't you come out here? And I'm like, well, we are a soccer community. So we need to continue to brand ourselves. And then it's on Apple TV. Why would we not invest in that? And then also it's reaching our local community as well. So there was a lot of different folds to that as well.
Yeah, that stadium used to be a minor league baseball. It was a Huntsville Stars. I mean, Jose Canseco played there.
I went there many times.
Yeah, I grew up. It was from our house through the county. You could get there and pretty quick. But I mean, Michael Jordan played there. The Birmingham Barons, came to play the Huntsville Stars. That's when he tried to be a baseball player too. But I saw him on the field. So
that's
wow.
So now it's a soccer stadium. So it's really cool. And they did a good job of making it just enough facelift, keep the old, but bring in the new too. You mentioned something. I've got a couple of questions based on something you said earlier, but you mentioned your internal customers and the external customers, and you had to sell yourself harder to the internal team, I guess, to the residents of Decatur Morgan County. Dive into that a little bit more, because that's been our experience too. Inside the community college system, we have had to work harder to sell our colleges in the early days on what we do, where the outside people were like, well, this is the greatest thing since free oxygen. So, tell us how you battled that internal and external.
Well, I think a lot of it is advocacy and just being wherever everybody is and just always telling this story. And honestly, what we have tried to do is create ambassadors around us. So it's not really like us just telling the story of why tourism is so important. We created an ambassador program. It's a little bit different than your chamber ambassadors. They're really online. They have a big social media presence. And then we've also, of course, all of our partners, making sure we're in contact with them all of the time as well. And then also travel writers. So that's shifted too, influencers and things like that. So other people are helping tell our story. It's not just us. So we try to get testimonials anytime that we can. Let's say that we just had the Bassmaster Elite, which is a huge fishing tournament. and they absolutely love Decatur. So you get all of these other people helping sell to your community. Like, you live here. This is an amazing place to live. You just need to get out and explore. And I love to vacation and like go see other visitor centers or like see how people have their bike trails. We were actually in DC this last week, and I noticed all of the green, and they had all of their bike trails just resurfaced and painted and all of that. And so I was like, wow, that's amazing. If DC can do it, we can do it locally as well. And so just taking all of that and then trying to mirror it in your community as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's super interesting. No, I thank you for sharing that. I feel like we sometimes with branding, it's people come with preconceived, notions of they think they already know what it is you're trying to communicate to them. And so bringing people along your journey and your path, I think truly helps you develop your brand. And so I appreciate you saying that from a community tourism side of the house. For us, with always developing new courses, we have new things that we are always selling and promoting, but our message is still the same. And so I feel like I have to be creative and not having a dry message, but always creating excitement around it. And so I'm always interested to see how others just in this space market something that has been around for just a minute and people already kind of hear about it or know about it, but how do you keep generating that interest? And so testimonials obviously are a huge part of what we do, just because lives are changed every single day. But at the same time, following those stories sometimes are hard, like where they go on the next phase with our courses. And so have y'all had any growth as far as skills for success in your area, or heard of companies? I know Houston shares some with us sometimes, but have you been able to have conversations with community members about what we do through Skills for Success? Or how is it maybe having the Innovation Center in downtown Decatur affected some of the things that you guys are doing?
I think what you guys are doing is so cool. I really do. And all of the programming that you've brought into place. And actually, when we had, I think it was the state of Morgan County, maybe, and they mentioned something about forklifts and like they had to pay for training. And me and Crystal, the chamber director, were like, wait a minute. Wait a minute, we know some people that like could help with this. And then the hospitality component to it as well. Actually, I plan on taking the course at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are like changing lives one person at a time. So I think the storytelling initiative is very important because, I mean, you guys work with all kinds of people. I think what you're doing is just so important to really all of the state. So thank you guys.
Well, thanks for that. No, I told the team that we had a professional development for our team. We went from 10 team members to 20 in like 4 months. And so we had a big thing down in Fairhope. And the first morning I was on your lunch and learn, or I guess it was a lunch and learn. And it was kind of awkward. There was some audio delays, and then there was.
I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and then there was some bugs. Like I was sitting outside because the inside of that building we were in was such an echo.
Goodness.
So it was like this harsh morning light and these bugs. And I'm like, it's crazy. So I know they thought this guy is an absolute idiot. But it was a bunch of hotels, and I totally missed that boat, Danielle. Like I completely missed that it was a hotel group coming through.
No, it's all good.
And I should have been more aggressive with our hotel ops and food and beverage. But I'll say this. We have the idea of downtown Decatur having a collective food and beverage course and hospitality course, especially now hotel ops course. Now with the new hotel. Is it a Fairfield down there?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. I believe so.
So you got two hotels downtown. I would love to bring in all the businesses together and let Calhoun run this because it's in their district. And everybody sends 2 or 3 people, so now there's a baseline. And then the next time they send 2 or 3 more people. And we pitched this to the chamber, I believe it was last fall, but it was right during football season, and Thursday Fridays were still going on, so no one bid on it. But we're going to resurrect that now that we're getting close to fall. We need to have that. Just need to do it. But back to your point about forklift, we are working on a course for that too. Working with Wallace Dothan and another division of the college system, ATN, to have a free forklift, no cost forklift training. And it will be the same thing that they pay for, just free. And so it'll be good. It'll probably more robust than what they pay for. To be honest, it'll have some pretty tricky hands-on pieces where they have to actually articulate whatever they're handling in a different way, not just an obstacle course. So that should be ready by September. It's a generous statement.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Awesome.
There's a lot of stuff going on. You mentioned.
Let's expand because I thought you did an excellent job. So just to explain kind of what we were trying to do there is we were celebrating National Travel and Tourism Week, which we do every time. Allie is really a new team member with us. I think she's been with us a little over 6 months, but her primary is to really focus on industry and corporate groups. So we do get a lot of hotel nights off of industry. And we know from the tourism perspective, we're the first line to welcoming people. So people might come for work, but then we want them to get out to the restaurant and we want them to experience our events. And then what happens there is they're like, oh, I could see myself living here. And then that becomes workforce recruitment. So that is part of her mission, but that was an industry blitz. And so a lot of the people that were in that room that poor Houston couldn't see because he was fighting with bugs was our high schools, it was you guys, it was some of our industries. And so I think it's really important as we're doing all of these really innovative things is not working in silos.
Yes.
Like making sure that we communicate with partners and work together. So you guys are excellent at what you do. We're excellent at what we do. The chamber's excellent at what they do. The E-Center is excellent. So we all have our different things that we do extremely well, but it's very important to keep in sync with each other.
Yes, we agree with that. Working in silos, I feel like everyone's kind of not doing the same things, but have the same goals and not working together. So in addition to those, I think you said media or a blitz or lunch and learn. What are industry blitz? What are some of the other things that you do to try to get all of these groups, business and industry, your local restaurants, together to kind of brainstorm and be together really?
So we have a local hospitality association. So that consists of restaurants and hotel partners. So we see them once a month. We meet with our Parks and Recreation department once a month just to go on upcoming events because we are the sales and marketing arm for the community, but really then we have to work along with our rec department to make sure that the event goes extremely well. So we lean on them tremendously. We're very involved with the chamber. So we have a staff member that is always working alongside the chamber, like how can we partner on these different things with industries and businesses. And then we actually have created a relocation packet as well, which has turned out, I think, really, really good. So we worked alongside the chamber there. So if somebody's relocating or thinking about it or retiring here, they actually get a great informational package of where's the license, where are all of those kinds of details. And so again, we're working in partnership together. In that branding, it's very branded as well.
That's awesome. A relocation packet. That's very innovative. I like that.
Well, it's really smart because 2 years ago, Huntsville was the #1 city in the country to live. Which you think, Alabama? Well, yeah, you got all the jobs from the missile defense and space industry and manufacturing, and then all the related jobs and all the great school systems. So that I'm not surprised you are rocking that either. And we're a natural overflow from Huntsville. I mean, I bet half of Hartsville works in Huntsville somewhere in Madison. Have our little town. So you mentioned earlier part of that relocation, part of that advertisement is two parts. I want to hit one and then the other. You mentioned outdoor recreation, and I know from the news and a little birdie about the Singing River Trail. Can you talk about that? Or is that...
Yeah, the grant we won?
Yeah, huge deal. Tell us about that.
A little bit of money.
Yeah, just a wee bit, yeah.
Yeah, so we actually met with the DOT when we were in DC, and I told them the amount of time that we got the grant done, and they were like, don't tell anybody. So I'm not going to tell anybody, but we got it done really, really fast. So this is why it's important to keep in communication with all of these different things. I actually had a newsletter that came across my desk and I was like, wait a minute, this grant looks a lot like what we're trying to do. So we're working on a civil rights district that is also just right. It's part of downtown, I would say, across from our historic depot. And so as we started looking at it, I'm like, we literally meet all of the check boxes there. And so everybody said, I don't think we're going to get it, because it was extremely, extremely competitive, because there was no match. There is no match to this grant. So we got it together in a very, very short amount of time. We pulled together a lot of our community leaders and people who live in that Old Town district as well. So it was very well represented. Dr. Bill Sims, who is still with us, and he's amazing, but he created the bike trail. And so
bike.
we had a lot of, he's amazing.
Yeah.
So we pulled it together, submitted it, and then I was told many a times we would never receive it. And then I get an email from somebody that said, hey, you've won $18.4 million.
Wow.
And there was a lot of screaming that went along with it. I'm like,
bet.
what? We won. Nobody said we would win. What? So, I mean, it is going to be extremely transformational. If you don't know about the Old Town District, it used to be a bustling part of town. There was all kinds of businesses on Vine Street, and then Highway 20 came along and pretty much cut that community off from the rest of the city. And all the businesses went away. And so with this grant, a lot of those people don't have transportation.
Yeah.
So let's get them on a bike. Let's get them walking safely. And that reconnects them back to the city, back to the industries. And so I really feel like it's going to be extremely transformational for the city of Decatur and the Old Town district. And then with that civil rights district that we're working on as well, that will go on. The state has a huge civil rights trail that is nationally recognized, and we will be on that trail as well. So kind of a big deal there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's really phenomenal.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. It was a team effort to get it done, but we got it done, and we're pretty pumped.
When does the construction start, or when does the plan go into effect? Like, I know it's like there's a lot of things to happen, but
yeah. So the Singing River Trail, we did that in partnership with them. But what I would tell anybody is that you have to have plans in place, because you never know when a grant is just going to drop in your lap, and you have to have it ready to go. So there was actually 2 different grants that were available. Oops, I'm sorry. There was a construction grant, and then there was a planning grant. Well, the Singing River Trail had already done a lot of the planning, so we didn't have to go after the planning part. We went after the actual construction, which means that we actually get to construct. So
yeah.
I would just say we could have never gotten it done on that timeline if we wouldn't have been doing all of that planning all along. So, and the Singing River Trail is it's a regional initiative. Yeah. And so I think that was probably part of why we were part of the fold as well, is it's not just Decatur and Morgan County, it's the region.
Right. So I'm an avid cyclist. I will say that for sure. I was out last night after dark eating bugs and flat tires on the refuge. But one of my absolute favorite things to do is to take that trail from Smyrna, really North Atlanta, over to Anniston, Alabama. It's an old railroad trail, rails of trails, and it's paved or asphalt or concrete. But there's a trail that goes from Washington, D.C. to Seattle, Washington also, and I forget what it's called, but the Great American Bikeway or something. But that kind of stuff is like destination cycling is a huge deal. It's called bike packing. But when I saw this announcement, I thought how cool I could get somebody to take me somewhere on the far east coast and then ride my bike home to Decatur. Literally ride it to the office, So
that sounds really intense.
It is. It's nuts. And people that do that are absolutely crazy. But it's the most fun thing. But what it does is it says now these towns along the way become destinations. And there's a whole boutique culture of Airbnbs and hotels and restaurants and food trucks on certain times of the year. So it's got to be a huge economic boom. And I know you saw that's probably in your plan because you're way smart. But I'm really excited about it. I hope I live long enough to see it all happen.
I hope so. There's a timeline on it.
Good.
So it's gonna move fairly quickly. So, and we actually had the Singing River Trail board over here. I serve on that board as well. And they brought over e-bikes. Y'all, I have not ridden a bike in a hot minute. And so putting a little motor with it. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I looked like I was a 5-year-old on a bike. Everybody else was like rocking it, but me, I need some work.
Did you crash?
No, thankfully I didn't.
Okay.
I was nervous.
I would
I
laugh
was
at
like
you
the
if you
last
had,
person, but it's okay.
Those e-bikes
I
are
would have
fun.
too. I would have laughed at myself.
Yeah.
They are. I
You
just
should
need a little
go.
practice.
Chattanooga
That's
has
all.
some brand, but they have a tandem electric bike, and so
Is that a fancy one?
it's a 2-seater.
Oh, okay.
So like you got two people.
I
So
should've known that.
in a couple years ago, my son and I went up there and we rode it around, and then my wife and I went back like 2 weeks later, separate trips, and we rented the same bike, and it was the most fun. Now we had different adventures.
I feel like that could have been chaotic if it's motorized and two people riding.
Oh, we'll keep the second person doesn't pedal.
Okay.
They
I
don't
was about
pedal
to say.
anyway in my family, but on this one, since it was motorized, but it was a lot of fun. So those e-bikes are cool. So how much of and you mentioned workforce, which is the second part of this conversation. So you get people to say, oh, this is a cool place to go visit. Oh, this is a cool place I should live, or I could live. Now, once they get there, how much of your focus is about workforce development?
So the hotels, it is extremely important part. So like I said, with if people are coming to stay at the hotels, let's say it's an industry or if it's an event or whatever that might be, that frontline worker is essential because they can make or break what happens on, let's just say that I'm traveling and the person that I talk to up front is super grumpy and not accommodating. Like that's a bad experience. But if I talk to the person, they're like, oh, you know what? You should go eat here. Like this place is great. This is a local favorite. That's a totally different experience. And it's literally just by that first person that you make contact with. And so I think that part is very essential. And your restaurants as well. We went through a little bit of a struggle with workforce there just because everybody got out of it for a long time and then getting them back in it. So and I think it's important for people that go eat, like they need to remember this is how people make their livelihood as well. So if you want to keep restaurant workers, like you have to tip them. They make like $2 an hour and you can't support a family that way. So I think that's important for people to remember as well.
No, I think every kid, once they can drive, should wait tables.
Yes.
Kailah and I did it at Red Lobster in Florence, and it changed my life, really. I mean, from the customer service, from all those things you just said. Also, I mean, I tip very generously now, even for the stuff when I do all the work, but I still tip the person that's in there that's asking for one because they're probably making minimum wage or not even that. So how can we help you with that?
So actually,
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go.
It's really not that important, but I mean, that's how I worked myself through college too, was at Chili's. Like I got through college with no debt, and it was literally from working at the Chili's. And I actually opened the Chili's here. I'm dating myself, and helped with their opening and workforce there as well. So the food industry is interesting sometimes, but yeah, everybody should have to start at a restaurant. You learn. I think I've heard this on your podcast many times, peopling, like that's the most peopling of peopling.
Oh, yeah. I'll never forget a Sunday afternoon.
Woo.
And it was a huge party, and some kid, they wanted root beer, and root beer was not free refills. And this mama lost her marbles over this kid ordering this $2 root beer. She's like, get a Dr. Pepper. And he's screaming at her, I don't want Dr. Pepper. I want root beer. So he got a root beer, and he was draining those things like crazy. Like I was running around. I just brought a pitcher. That didn't work because there was 3 of them then. And I should not tell this, but I took my name badge, the pen, and I poked holes in the bottom of his straw. So as he was trying to drink, I saw him. I was watching, doing something. He was like, I'm not going to recreate the image, but he couldn't get that root beer up that straw for nothing because it was just running out the bottom.
How did you even think to do that?
Well, because I was so mad, and I realized pretty quickly I was not getting tipped very well on that table, even though there was like 10 of them. So that kid, I hope he's okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with. He left walking, but I was like, man. But that I remember, I'll never forget that table and those parents. They were probably stressed out, but they shouldn't have been at Red Lobster after church.
I was about to say they came right after church, and she was being tested.
Yeah,
poor mama.
But that changed my life and the way I deal with people. And whenever we have a tough customer, I think back to that little kid, and I try not to poke holes in my straws anymore, because I remember
That's good.
all that kid
that's
wanted.
good.
Yeah, it is. I'm a better person than that, but all that kid wanted was his root beer, and all that mama wanted was to be left alone for 10 minutes. And so I know those things,
Yeah.
but anyway,
Yeah.
good times. How can we help you in the tourism and by extension, the Chamber of Commerce with that tourism, with hotels, restaurants, in general, with the workforce offering that we have? Tell us how we can connect with you to make your delivery better.
Well, I think, working with the high schools and then funneling to the Innovation Center is essential, like exposing people to tourism at an early age. Like there are so many different aspects to tourism that's part of the workforce that we're trying to work with the chamber alongside as well. Like you should consider tourism. There's communications, there's graphics, there's hotels, there's restaurants. I mean, there's so many different avenues that you can go down in tourism. And I think that we need to work really close together in maybe educating our local restaurants and hotels on what you guys have available. I think that would be really important. A lot of them are working very short-staffed, so we do have to kind of be creative on how we get people to classes, or I know you guys offer a lot of virtual things as well, and I think that's a key selling point too, is that how can you integrate some of this training and not have to take them away from the office for a long extended period of time. So I think at this point in time, we need to educate on what you guys have available. And I can help with that storytelling as well, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yes, absolutely. And I think too, we say that this, but we say people have to hear things 100 times before they buy in to something. And so, the Innovation Center really started in 2022, but was birthed a little bit before that, but we've evolved since then. And so we live and breathe it and talk about it all the time. We're on a podcast. We bring people on. But in anything that you do, you really have to be a broken record. And so I think truly educating those in your community and even across the state is where we're going to get that traction. And then from there, I think word of mouth too, especially in a community like Decatur. If a restaurant sees another restaurant have a little bit of success with hiring or training, and it just kind of unfolds from there. So we are on board with whatever ideas you have that we can partner with you guys, because it is important work. And you really just spoke to how the hospitality industry has affected your life. And so that next generation, we want to be a part of that. So anything that we can come alongside, please let us know.
That's interesting you say that, because I tell my staff that all the time. I'm like, we have to keep it simple in the way that we're communicating, because a lot of the time we want to be like, because we, like you said, we live and breathe it. So we're like, oh, let me tell you about, and then you like word vomit it, and you're like, why do people not understand what I'm saying? So we've actually came up with like 30-second elevator speeches. And then when we're looking at our social media, like just clearly communicate like one thing at a time, and then do it over and over and over. And so we've had to learn that too, is like, why don't you understand tourism? What's the problem? Like we think we communicate all the time, but we're not doing it simply. We need a simple message just over and over and over. So we would love to absolutely partner with you guys. And that's kind of why we hired Allie, is to really work on that workforce and connecting the dots with industries and hotel partners. And it's just tourism is a vital part of economic development, and we have to have workers. So
we have 3 courses, 2 that are ready right now. Hotel operations, which goes from like taking phone reservations, phone information, and handling that, to a person walking in, checking into the hotel, making sure everything is right with their stay. And then it includes also resetting the room after a stay, so you get some housekeeping component of it. But then there's a huge customer service component of just knowing how to say and what not to say and all those things. And then on the flip side, the food and beverage course covers, it's split in half, front of the house and back of the house. So the front, they literally start with a greeter. They practice doing that. They seat the customers. Then they're the server who brings the drinks, and they have to literally bring plastic cups of water, they're full-size cups on a tray, have to deliver that. And they learn how to place the cups so you're not reaching over people or over devices and whatnot. Taking an order, there's always a garbage can eater who doesn't have any, there's a picky eater, there's an allergy eater, and then there's just whatever in every lab. So that's the front of the house. And then the back of the house is not really about how to cook, but labeling foods, making a vinaigrette, actually mix a drink. It's just food coloring made up like different bourbons or something. The original, they tapped a keg and they made what was called an Alabama Slammer, which is pretty good. But we can't do that in K-12, and it didn't fly well just out in general. But then they also learned a little bit about knife skills. They cut an onion, and why they hold it with their knuckles and not their fingertips. So you can do, and both of those are one-day labs, Danielle. So you could literally have a hotel split up, 2 mornings or 2 evenings or whatever. Even do it during a slow day, like a Tuesday, whatever. And the food and beverage can be done in the same way. A lot of restaurants are closed on Sunday mornings or Sundays in general. And so going back to that community approach, you said, hey, let's get all the businesses in Decatur and let's pick one restaurant 2 or 3 times a semester, 2 or 3 times a year, and use that restaurant to do the training on a day they're closed. And it's fast, it's free, it's effective. And then the other one that's important to you is just an open customer service course. That the other 2 have customer service components, but this one is specifically about customer service, and it goes from like taking phone calls to in person and conflict resolution, and it's really, really good. So I think those 3 together would be a nice bundle that you could put together, and potentially, depending on how long customer service goes, we could even articulate that into a credit at Calhoun, like either a dual enrollment for the high school kids or articulated credit at Calhoun into something, small business or whatever.
Yeah. No, I was going to say the scenario that Houston is describing is there's sometimes a misconception that our courses have to be done in a classroom or have to be done on a college campus or at a high school, but that really we are open and would rather have the actual business open their doors to have a real life experience. And so that's what he was alluding to as far as a restaurant opening their doors and having someone physically move from the front of the house to the back of the house, or being in a hotel. We can always simulate these things for sure. But if there were a handful of employers that were willing to take some time and invest in training, even sometimes for their competitors. But the idea is that they're able to hire from these pool of participants who finish the training. So as you're kind of giving your 1-minute spill on what the Innovation Center and Skills for Success can do for your community, I would say that those individuals will be on their property, that recruiting, that marketing, that environment, they're already experiencing that as they're going through the training. So we think that's a good selling point. So we want you guys to know that too.
That's awesome. So I was going to say, I've actually experienced some of this with my older son, Noah. He is a rising senior, but he is working in the concession stand. So this might be an opportunity for you guys in the municipalities as well. But I mean, he's working the deep fryer. He almost cut his finger off at one point because he's not like cut stuff before. Like he's dealing with softball moms in the concession stand, and that's a whole new adventure for him, and so all of those things, I didn't think to like prepare him for that type of situation. I'm like, you're fine. You're going to the pool house and working concessions. But like, he's had to learn a lot of these skills along the way. And he's a very bright kid, but you put a knife in his hand, apparently we're like, you got to pay attention to what you're doing. So yeah, I think this is very valuable, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, certainly. So in our town, you've got the Freight House. It's got a really nice kitchen. It's actually a pretty good restaurant. I like it a lot. You got Mr. Henry's, which has been 1,000 different things, and it's always the same quality food. There's a certain day of the week they're not open. I think Sundays.
Sure, right? It's not Mondays.
I don't know. Like, they're always open.
That's some of the other ones in Decatur. It's a toss-up.
We give him a hard time sometimes.
Yeah, but anyway, your point is there's all kinds of places where you could, and I'm speaking to those 2 places in Hartsville because that's where we're from, but certainly you've got all those places in Decatur that are not open on a certain day. What's the new one? The 609 Social?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, that's pretty good food. The shrimp and grits there is amazing. They are amazing. Is that plural? Anyway, really, really good. But they might be willing to do something like that, and I think they're all about the
I bet
community.
they would.
So even extend, you could take it down to one of the churches. They've got those huge commercial kitchens.
That's a good idea.
You know, you can't break anything there. It's all steel and aluminum, and
You just jinxed it.
No. So anyway, the point is, Danielle, like all those places are, our courses can be deployed, like Kailah was saying, just about anywhere. So we'd be happy to sell that. And cool thing for you in our downtown Decatur office, we've got Miss Fadina Henderson, who's our workforce coordinator for the North, who can work with you to set these things up for the open enrollment for the adults. And then we've got Matt Heaton and Tom Chappell, who are our, Tom, are our career readiness. So they're the K-12 gurus. And so they can coordinate with our high schools who they run food and beverage like crazy. I would much rather have your connections to get those kids on a field trip to do those two hotel ops and food and beverage in a actual facility, not in Miss Smith's home ec classroom. I'm sure she does a good job, the Miss, proverbial Miss Smith. But how much more if it's at the Fairfield, if they're flipping rooms at the Fairfield, not, in a makeshift hospital bed in a health occupations class or whatever. So think about those things. And now you've got all these kids learning about finding your flow in MoCo.
I love it.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Because they don't know what they don't know. Yep. So I'll connect you to those folks off air, but I think it's a really valuable thing for you. And we bring the chamber along. They would be need to know what we're doing, I guess. But anyway, it's all right there. And listen, it's all free. And so your hotels get better, your restaurants get better, our kids get served, and they know, like you're talking about, exposing those students to tourism. Man, it'd be good.
And I think, we work together as a state as well. So we have the 16 North Alabama communities. We have Alabama Mountain Lakes. So we all work together as the region, but then also we meet with our state on a quarterly basis. So my dear friend in Tuscaloosa, Kelsey Rush. So there are a lot of other DMOs as well that you guys could come alongside that are doing amazing things as well. So.
Yeah. Well, we like to do things we've never done, and these courses have ran well because they're fast and they're really concise. But I think we still have not hit our perfect mark with those two because we haven't landed on the coast. We get pretty good on the coast, with A&R Hospitality and Coastal Alabama College. But I would love to see it in our area, just because it's such a huge. I mean, literally from the Muscle Shoals to Scottsboro to this over there near Chattanooga, like it's such a beautiful place to visit. So right there in the very middle of all that is Decatur, and so let's be the hub for that North Alabama. The gateway to the. I don't know. I'm making up stuff. So anyway,
I like it. Like you're selling. So go ahead.
Yeah,
we want you to stay in our hotel.
Is that are you going to get us a coupon or a free stay, and we could be. Kyle and I could be travel writers. We're
Me and Jesse have talked about that too.
You could be an influencer.
So,
yeah.
We're so just full transparency. Danielle's husband, Jesse, is probably. I don't know. I feel like we're always on the verge of getting in trouble. Anytime we're together.
Always.
And just the other day we were in a basketball game. We were sitting there thinking about, man, we could build this in Morgan County and we could do this and we could do that. And we talked it started with a conversation about a stand-up folding chair that you could rest on leaning forward rather than sitting in a folding chair, like something you could like prop your arms on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got the trademark on that. Okay. I've already filed for one, so y'all can't steal it. But then that turned into, no, what we need is a $4 billion complex. But we by the end, we had a barbershop in there. We had a chiropractor. We had therapy. We had pickleball courts, basketball courts, volleyball courts. We had all these things, like a bar and a restaurant in the corner. Like we had all these things. And somebody needs to hire us to come up with these ideas. And anyway. But
and fund it.
Fund it too. So
they're two peas in a pod, that's for sure. So
our other idea, and there is one that exists like this somewhere, but it's like basically a giant building. Inside of it is a Alzheimer's facility, and the facades can be redone to look like their home where they lived, where they what they last remember. And so I forget where it is, but it's it's a beautiful concept. And if like us, our parents are getting older, like it's like, oh, that's reasonable to think about. Get it funded from Medicare, Medicaid, whatever. But Jesse and I have big plans.
I love it.
Yeah,
that's
maybe
awesome.
Some of
Your encore jobs.
Moving towards the end here, Danielle. Final thoughts from you, just as the director of Morgan County Tourism, Decatur Morgan County. Final thoughts on what you're doing, where you're headed, and what's next for your office.
So we have really like 3 key things that we've been working on and we're going to continue to work on. So our visitor center, we moved into our visitor center a couple of years ago, but it wasn't really for us to just have office space. We want people in the building. So we want visitors in the building. We allow industries to use our meeting space for free. I think we've had a little over 2,000 people utilize that space, and we want this visitor center to be the gateway into the entry of Decatur. And that was part of our strategic plan as well with the One Decatur plan, was the visitor center was a key component of that. So eventually we're going to move into phase 2, which is a museum. So I had to finish up the visitor center and take a breath for just a second. And then we're going to start really thinking about what does that museum look like? And we want to make sure that we reach the different types. So whether you're a kid, whether you're an older person, whether you're middle-aged, like you enjoy the museum and you learn something and you have fun. That was actually one of our core values that we added in the last couple of years as well. I'm like, fun should be part of our core values because that's literally what we're doing. People are not going to continue to come back if they are not having fun. So every time we talk about something, I'm like, is it fun? Like, are people going to have a good time? And then the next thing is outdoor recreation, really leaning into outdoor recreation and continuing to sell that. And then also we're a sports destination, but our city has really invested a lot of money into new pickleball courts, a new rec center. We're going to have a new event center come online. So we're going to have more opportunities to sell. So those are kind of our 3 primary initiatives that we're working on. And then everything that we do has data attached to it. So we are funded by lodging tax. So I feel like if we spend a marketing dollar, we need to be able to back that up with some sort of reporting. Now, sometimes I've done some marketing and I'm like, ooh, that didn't work out exactly like I thought it would. So let's pivot just a tad and let's try something else. And then this last year, thanks to my board, we were able to invest in data. We work with a company called Zartico. They call it the Creeper system, which it kind of is a little bit, but for marketers, it's amazing. So it actually tells me like how much people spend while they're here, where they came from, our events, how many people went to the events. So now our marketing efforts are even going to be a little bit more honed in because we know what activities are happening within our destination. But outdoor recreation by far is the number 1 reason that people come here, but we also want them to go to our amazing attractions as well. So it's very important to, when we're doing our marketing, that we really lean into that one thing, but then we try to promote the other things as well. And then we also, from a marketing perspective, felt like maps were very important. Now, older people still like the printed maps, like our brochures, our visitors guides, those fly off the shelves like hotcakes because they're not a normal brochure size. We made sure they were very pretty. They have a certain paper to them, and we can't keep those in stock. But we also have a digital map as well. When we were working with Google, we couldn't fix the map. So the Dr. Bill Sims Trail, like it fell off at certain places and we couldn't get it fixed. And we tried to work with NARCOG and they're like, we can't get it fixed. I'm like, well, shoot. So podcasts are very important because I ran across a podcast of a new pop-up company in Utah that was like, hey, we're doing these interactive maps. You control the map. You can add whatever you want to them. And so we were an early investor in that. So now we have all of these we have our trails on there. We have the bike trail and all of that's interactive. And we put pop-up banners at all of our hotels. So you actually scan that QR code and it goes to the map. And again, I can track that. You have to put in all your information. So I know where you came from and all of that as well. So we can see if that's working. So we just want everything to work full circle and keep it simple. And so I think in the next couple of years, we're going to see some really amazing things come out of Morgan County. Everybody working together. I know the county's working on their ball fields as well. And so I think it's an exciting time to be a part of this community.
It is. And being from there, it's nice to hear that there's a plan for that. You know, because I plan to retire, you know, in the next 8 years maybe, and I want to have fun, and I want to know where all the fun things are. So,
Well, you did a
8
good job
years.
because I'm like, I need to spend more time in Decatur, Morgan County. It sounds so fun.
Oh, we can give you a tour.
That
we'll
would
make
be
it
fun. Yeah.
yeah, there's actually a lot to do in Decatur and Morgan County that you don't think about it.
Uh-huh.
Good stuff. Those are all exciting. I love to see that growth and that smart plan. You know, that's some really intelligent, creative things, and it's cool to see that happening to make our town, our home better. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Any other final thoughts?
No, I think that was it.
Okay, good.
Can I plug our website too?
Absolutely.
Am I allowed to
Absolutely.
do that? Okay. All right. So we the last couple of years put our program of work as well. So that's kind of our guiding force to what we're doing. So our program of work is on our website along with our board of directors and our staff, and you can reach out to our staff directly. And then we have a pretty good LinkedIn account as well. I feel like that's a very important part to reach all of our professional people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can find us on our website at visitdecaturreal.org. And then we are also on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, all of those. And my people do a really, really good job with promoting all things that are happening within our community. And then on our website, we actually have a calendar of events as well. And I have somebody that's constantly looking at those events. But if we miss anything, people can just reach out to us. And you can actually subscribe to that events calendar as well. So it will notify you if you use a Google Calendar, Outlook, whatever that is. It'll notify you when events are happening. So
Clever.
Perfect.
Okay.
and we do have a podcast. It's Find Your Flow in Moco.
Yeah. I've got a 2-hour drive home. I think I'm going to have to go back and listen. I find it. That's good. Kailah, final thoughts?
No, other than just thank you so much for your time this morning. We are always excited just to hear what other communities are doing across the state and how we can support and help you do your job. That's truly what our goal is to support communities and help individuals find local jobs and change their lives. So we appreciate all that you do.
I love that. Thank you guys for having me. You guys are doing amazing things. Houston, when I think you first took this job, I think you had to tell me like 3 times. I'm like, no, what are you doing? What is that? Free programming. Hang on, what?
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of the work that you're doing in your team. And I mean, that's impressive to double your staff. So great job to you
Certainly
guys.
a team effort.
Yeah.
Man, that's a whole nother podcast, I think. A whole nother episode.
We have fun. We do have fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So, well, thanks for being here, Danielle. We appreciate your time and look forward to whatever comes next. Kailah, give us a closeout.
Thanks for joining us again on another episode of Innovation Unplugged. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on all of our podcast platforms. Have a great day.